Hi there. So I'm going to you from a different device, and I'm going to do my best here but if something funny happens with the sound or the image or the video, it's because I've had quite a week with tech. Maybe you are too. It can make sense for a Gemini moon to have tech issues, especially when we've got such an interesting chart to look at. Now, I looked at the chart and briefly I can tell you, and I can tell you just from how it feels, let alone the analysis of the chart, that for the Eastern time zone, this Gemini full supermoon, so it's closest to the Earth, which means it can be felt more, the influences. Um, a full Gemini moon, supermoon in the 12th house, my goodness, it means that everything is going on behind the scenes for you. Everything. It means your mind is all over the place. It means you're scattered amongst many projects and many people, many ideas at once. And what happens with that? Well, it tends to create restlessness, tends to create overdoing it and overscheduling. In some people, it'll trigger more like a shutdown response where they're just like so overwhelmed they don't even want to deal, so they just withdraw or in from everything. But for the most part, people are going to be out and socializing and saying yes to probably too many things and have bought too many things and have tons of stuff going on. It can create, inner restlessness, and it can create a sense of clutter. And that can be mentally and it can play out physically in your space as well or in your life. Hecticness, hectic and frantic. The fun side, of course, is the social side of Gemini. So I've been running, this is my second year running a community event that I started, and I'm calling it the Living Advent Calendar. And businesses and residents are decorating their homes or their businesses. And I come around and I give them a number and they tape it on the door, and it looks like a little mini Advent calendar is happening in the town, which I find really cool. And each year, it's only year two, but I already see an increase in decor this year in the village, and I see an increase in enthusiasm and creativity, a little bit of neighborly competition too, which is fine. It's just making more people get on board. So it's really fun. And that's a very Gemini moon thing, you know, did something spontaneous, excuse me, to help bring the community out and about. And even though it's freezing, it's living up to its name, the cold moon. It's been working. So, that's the fun side. Also, Gemini moons tend to love bling and jewelry and stuff, books, lots of podcasts, lots of music, lots of messages, texting. Just brings a flurry of communication. And because it's holiday season, that can be extra, right? Whether it's like there's just seems to be 10 times more enthusiasm or things to do for your holiday Christmas party at work or your family plans this year, your travel plans. Um, it just increases all this mental activity and messaging. So for some of you, you might be, despite all of this, you might still be introverts and you might still just be feeling it internally as your body might literally feel like it's buzzing lately and vibrating. Sometimes I go to bed at night and I realize my body is just vibrating like, and it's not that I'm anxious. We have a lot of solar flare activity going on right now. It's been hitting us pretty intensely over the whole fall, honestly. So if you feel like this whole fall has just been ramped up and up and up and up and up, and you're waiting for it to be over and have some calm, I don't think it's going to, unfortunately. I think this is almost like when well, there's a few analogies, but some of them are sort of dark, so I won't go there. But as you raise vibration, so a higher and higher sound, you know, and you maintain that long enough, it's going to raise the vibration to something higher frequency, which that's what happens when things get busier and busier and busier. The intensity grows, and I was going to say it's like a water torture or something. You will eventually not be able to sustain whatever patterns, thinking, habits, emotional resistance, whatever it is, under the pressure, even though it's good pressure when it's a higher vibration, you won't be able to sustain what you've been doing. It has to let go and shift into something else. And that's the bigger picture of what's sort of going on right now. Um, so we're being asked over the last few months, especially, to let go and raise our vibration. And what's that mean? Because we say raise your vibration. I mean, me too. I used to say it, throw it out there without really explaining what it means. Um, Everything has a frequency. So something that is, um, let's just put it this way with Einstein's theory, particle theory. Everything is a series of moving particles. Everything in the universe is alive and moving, even if we can't see that it is. So think of wood. Wood is alive. We don't see it moving and squiggling, but we will gradually see it dry out or warp or rot. So it has been alive the whole time. It's just been so slowly moving that we can't see it. And then other things, wind changes quickly, water changes. It's powerful, but it changes also on the surface. And so these can sort of show you an idea of, higher frequencies are slower. We call it lower, but in a way it's sort of slower. So if something has a slower vibration, then it moves slower. And then what happens? Things can stick to it easier. Things can root to it or attach to it, or it can be stagnant, or it can accumulate things. And sometimes those things can give us stability, but sometimes they can also weigh us down. And things that are high, even though we think high is the ultimate, things that are too high, just like a hummingbird, just never, you can't catch it, you can't grasp it, you can't see it. Um, and higher vibrations, even though everybody wants to ascend and ascend and ascend, it's not realistic. We live on Earth and we're in physical bodies, and we're not going to float away in a spirit form until we're ready to leave this world. So until then, how do we ascend, in these physical bodies, in physical Earth? Well, my take on it is that you can become a lighter or higher note than a low note. You can become and I'm not talking about every day, but your overall vibe can become easier and more free and more light, which doesn't suggest being perfect or being some version of somebody's spiritual fantasy. It means that you're doing your inner work, you're doing your shadow work, you're healing. And as you release old pain and old ideas and you get closer to love, to loving yourself truly, appreciating and loving and valuing yourself and others, you will get lighter. You will have a higher vibration, and therefore you will magnetize or recognize or allow in other things that are lighter and higher too, like love. That is the goal. Love yourself and allow yourself to be loved and spread it. And so you might find that these intensifying times or frequencies with how hectic and how busy and how bombarded you might feel. It's because we're trying to hang on to our old network, our old system, our old way of being, our old thoughts. And life is up here and it's going like this. And we're like down here, they're waiting for it to be over so we can just go back to the way it was. And it's going, we're not going anywhere. And so this starts to get very uncomfortable. And eventually, this is not going to be sustainable. And we're talking, this means the lower, slower, stuck, the old stuff you got to let go of, the negative thinking, the guilt, the shame, the cruelty, the abuse on the planet. This has to give way. This is higher. And so if this isn't relenting and you're just getting busier and busier and more cluttered and more exhausted, it's because you're not letting go yet. And so it slowly needs to like, all right, what do I need to do different? How can I think differently? What things do I need to let go of or who? Do I need to readjust myself, my circle, my communication, something? So if you're feeling like hectic, overwhelmed, and you can't take it, like you're going to explode, it's because you need to let go of something major. All right. Shall we take a look at the chart now? If you are needing a reading these holidays, I am about to create my holiday schedule, but I am available for sure, in person and online. I'm just going to recreate my calendar, but there's times every week, and I'm pretty flexible. I'm just going to rejig it, and sessions can make excellent gifts as well if you know somebody who could benefit from some advice and guidance and clarity, some insight on their astrology into their character or into people around them or in their relationships. And otherwise, we can take a look at what's coming for 2026. It's another great way to gift yourself. All right, so let's take a look at this chart. Now, I'm hoping I can share easily because I've never done it on this device before. All right, there it is. Okay. Now, hopefully, okay. So here it is. Normally you can see me on the video beside as well as on the screen with the chart. So I'm hoping that I can still be heard here. All right, so take a look. We have that Gemini moon over in the 12th house. So because I don't have a mouse pointer right now to show you, you're looking at about at about 10 o'clock on the clock over there where the Gemini symbol is and the Gemini moon. We have in the Eastern time zone a Cancer rising. So Cancer rising, everybody is more sentimental. Everybody's more emotional. People might be more emotionally open in good ways or in difficult ways. They might be more vulnerable and sensitive, more moody, or they might be more open to bonding. Definitely the sentimental side is there when it's Cancer. And that happens in the holiday season anyway, right? People start talking about the old times and remember when and the family and the way things used to be, or longing and nostalgia for a different time in general or in your life when you perceive things as going easier than they are now. Um, but overall, Cancer rising is nice. People are not um, excuse me, they're not suppressing, they're not hiding, they're not faking. You can tell how they're feeling, and that allows you to usually make more connections. Jupiter is sitting there right on that, in that Cancer, in that first house, emphasizing that as well, like really emphasizing the sensitivity and tuning into others and the empathy and the intuition, the mothering of others. Um, so there's a lot of nice, nurturing energy with that. And hopefully you're the recipient of some and maybe you give some. And it's a wonderful aspect to have, even with this Gemini 12th house moon, because, like I said, it's going to bring you a sense of being restless and could bring some anxiety to people, could also bring some dreams or nightmares to some people, could bring up some stuff with your mother, hidden things, could bring up some, what's the way to say this? Unresolved alter ego. So Gemini moon wants to reinvent itself. It's not just one thing. It'll never be just one thing in this life. Oh, I'm a plumber and that's it. That's all. No, Gemini moon is like, well, 2 years ago I was a consultant and now I'm in I own a garden center, and on the side I have a teaching diploma, and and on it goes. Gemini moon, multiple talents, multiple directions, multiple lives. And so moon in the 12th house in Gemini, you're either getting in touch with alter egos for yourself. Maybe I could be this, maybe I could be that, maybe I can reinvent myself. Maybe I should be maybe I should be a writer, maybe I should be a travel blogger, maybe I should um just move away and live in the countryside and go fishing or open a burger stand somewhere in a small town. Maybe I should apply and go back to university. Maybe I should, on and on and on. It goes with options with Moon and Gemini. But it's happening in the 12th house, so you might be dreaming of it instead. You might have a dream of some alternate life or an alternate side of you. And sometimes that might be a future thing, something that's telling you a desire of something you want now or still want. But it could also be remembering past. So you might dream of, I don't know, some guy you had a crush on when you were 14, and that version of you comes back to your mind. And thing with the moon in Gemini is that's endless because we all go through so many changes, really, even if we don't like to admit it. Even the fixed signs still go through changes. They just stabilize themselves and refuse to go up and down and yo-yo with it, and they stick to the script. But everybody's got changes and moods and adaptability, and Moon in Gemini just lives that way. And so it's here to integrate all of these various different sides of themselves and desires. And so in the 12th house, it'll come out as things that you've suppressed and things that you might be dreaming of, daydreaming of, literally dreaming of at night. Um, Songs and movies you're suddenly drawn to watching again that represent that desire. And every so often, yes, people who represent it will walk straight into your life like a mirror of it. You've always wanted to be an actor. All of a sudden, you're meeting actors. You're not conscious that you also want to act. You're just thinking, oh, I've met some actor friends. That's cool. I always wanted to do that. It's a mirror. So take a look at your mirrors. So, of course, full moons are always opposing the sun. So it's opposite that sun in Sag. Now, the sun is pretty close to Mars, not conjunct, 13 and 22. So 9 degrees is still technically a conjunction, a wide one. So Sun Mars together in Sag, it's the opposite, blunt, direct, no time of day, no patience for people that can't make up their mind, very much more singular. Think of Sag like one big arrow, and they're focused and they draw back the bow and they shoot the arrow, and that's where they're going. It's not, well, what if we put 5 arrows instead? Or what if we use the black arrows for this? Or can we integrate this other thing with the arrow shooting? Because I have this friend, that's Moon and Gemini. Sag is like, no, 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 man, we're doing this one thing. And so, and we're going to just tell you straight that that's what we're doing. And you're with it or you're not. Now, Sag Mars, Venus is in Sag too, close to the sun. So even though they look like they're sitting apart, they're actually pretty much they're all conjunct. Venus, Mars, Sun, and Sag. Don't you dare step on anybody's freedom. Don't you dare take them off their podium or their pedestal, or their when they are or their pulpit. Some people are on their high horse and that's it. They are going to say their truth, and you better listen, and they expect the freedom to say so and do as they wish. If you block a Sagittarius from saying what they think or going where they want to go, you will not last long in their lives. They will blow you off. Yeah. So when you have your classic sun moon oppositions in Venus, in Gemini Sag, you've got the dichotomy between way too many options versus being singular, villages and cities, Gemini, versus countryside and adventure and open space, Sagittarius. Wanting to stay and focus on locals and the people around you and your neighbors and your pets, Gemini. And focusing on opening your world, spreading your business globally, going on trips, meeting people from other countries and other walks of life, educating yourself about the world, Sagittarius. So we're between those poles at this time of year. Because Gemini moon's sitting there alone and it's squared by the north and south nodes, again, which that makes our dreams extremely karmic right now, by the way. Whatever restless things are coming up in you right now, dreams, longings, old loves, old crushes, old, oh my God, I wish I could do that. It's karmic when it comes to squaring off with the nodes and opposing the moon. It's meant to move something forward right now. Again, you either have to let go or decide. The buildup of pressure is rising. You have to either say, I can't do this anymore, or you know what? I can't not do this anymore. I must go for X, Y, and Z. I've got to grow. You've just got to grow under this influence. And if you don't, because a lot of people don't like to grow, you'll feel it. You'll feel it in exhaustion and nightmares and physical tension and anxiety. Anxiety is really, because I've dealt with a lot of it myself the last few years, so I can say anxiety is when you're stuck in so much fear that you're paralyzed to decide and act, and your self-esteem is crushingly low, and you're terrified to trust yourself. And the way out of that is to start trusting yourself in little ways and making little decisions. And eventually they will be bigger decisions, and they will be more pivotal decisions that get your life on track until you trust yourself again. Now we have Venus and Mars and the Sun squaring off with that south node. Pretty wide when it comes to Venus, but still. Sorry, the north node and south node. So again, Sag wants its freedom, and don't take it away from me, but there's a lot opposing this. So you might be feeling quite frustrated that you want to reinvent yourself and you want to take some risks, but there's things blocking you. So some of you are going to really feel that no matter what you do, there's always something in your way. And that creates an enormous frustration. And frustration creates a lot of problems too in the body and in your mind. But we do have this amazing blue triangle you can see. If you look again at the 9 o'clock position, you see Cancer rising. It's like a 69. You see this looks like a 4, but it's the sign for Jupiter. So if you're over there, you see Jupiter and Cancer. Now look, there's blue triangles, so grand trines again in water. And I'm gonna talk about that, and then I'm gonna leave it off at that because I feel like we're saying a lot. The grand water trine means emotion and intuition is flowing. Creativity, trusting yourself without even thinking about it, just getting a vibe and without deciding and analyzing and thinking about anything, just it's sort of like the grand water trine is like you walk into a room and you look at one corner and you look at another and you're like, yeah, let's look at the next restaurant. And you don't sit there going, but why? But what's wrong with it? But oh, what? But do you want to sit here? Maybe we could do that. And you don't even start that. You don't even start all that arguing and analyzing and bargaining. You just like, yeah, not the vibe. Let's go somewhere else. And you don't even give it a second thought because you're so intuitive. You're so in the flow. You feel it in your body. You feel it in your nervous system. It's not like getting psychic visions, although sometimes water trines do get psychic visions. So some of you might be having prophetic or psychic dreams right now too. You might be having an increase in your messages and visions. But even if you are not, you're still going to be more intuitive in your animalistic side, which is basically your body will just scream at you, yes, no, that's for me, that's not for me. Okay, I've had enough of that. My body doesn't feel good. I'm done. And a lot of people with a grand water trine just do that. They don't think about it. They don't even know they're doing it. It's just so natural. Other people who don't have a grand water trine might have that ability, but they have to try a little bit harder. Whereas the water trine people just live that way. They just live from creativity and instinct and spiritual connection, and they just are that way. So this is what's working well in the chart right now. And I want to bring up the fact that that water trine is connecting with Mercury and Scorpio. Very deep insights, very deep psychic abilities with that. And the trine is at Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, which is almost done. Neptune is at 29 degrees, 23 seconds. 37 seconds away from being in Aries for good. So this degree, 29 degrees, is always important because it's like that final lesson, that final one more chance, then we lock the door kind of thing. Saturn's almost out of Pisces as well. It's going to go into Aries for the next 2.5 years. It's leaving soon. We've got this last ditch kind of feeling going on, even though it's connected to the water trine of all of this self-trust. And it's beautiful that way because if there's sort of a karmic test and a deep Scorpio Mercury and a warm, loving Jupiter in Cancer, you're ready to see through any illusions finally. Okay? Please let yourself see things as they are, not as you would like them to be. My guess is you probably already do. So the question is, why am I still here? Why am I still hanging on? Why am I still barking up the same tree, trying out the same ideas, reading the same stuff, hoping it'll be different, watching the same shows, hoping you feel different, hanging around the same people that bring you down, even though you know they bring you down? Why are you doing it? The last illusion You need to face that illusion. And it can be painful, yeah. But you know what? This is the last degree. It's not the beginning. We've had many of these warnings, especially with Saturn Neptune conjunction for a while now. You've had some hints and warnings of whatever person's scenario, pipe dream. Some of you, it might be that you're constantly going after side hustles and it's time to stop it, or investments, or whatever it is. Like you end up always on these scammy websites or something. I don't know what it is, but there's an illusion and you're chasing it, and you're some of it might be denial that somebody's going to turn around and there'll be forgiveness and you can have them back in your life. I mean, all kinds of things with Saturn Neptune there in Pisces. Hanging on for dear life to some sort of illusion or something that really is not working. And so this is your last little squeeze. By the time we get to January 2026, I don't quite know exactly what is going to happen or if it's even a physical thing happening, but I've had messages about 2026 for 20 years now, and I really feel it's going to be a very pivotal year on Earth. And I really feel that by January 2026, we will feel odd. We will feel literally that we are living in a different world than we were before. A gateway is being opened and another one is closing. And before you close that final door and you're maybe getting sentimental or scared, or take a good look at it and make peace with something and let yourself move on to the next version of your life. I know this is really deep advice, but it's what's going on. All right, I'm going to go to the tarot now. Okay. So here we go. Sorry, I just had to check that it's still recording because I'm like, oh, please tell me I didn't say all this for nothing. All right, let's take a look at the tarot for our signs for our reading. 1 second. All right. So let's see what the tarot holds. What else can we expect this full Gemini moon? I'm going to use the Rider-Waite today. All right. We've got the Nine of Swords here. And as you can see, it's a card of sorrow and grief. Now, the Nine of Swords is usually a Gemini card in the Thoth deck. And why would Gemini show up as swords or cruelty? Well, because when the mind is in pieces and when you're scattered between too many things, you will end up being very there's a strong chance of being inconsistent. There's more chance of being sort of too surface or too intellectual or glib about things and hurting people's feelings, or people hurt yours. Gemini leaves things on the intellectual plane and they like it to be elastic and fun and creative and full of possibilities. And they might say or do things innocently. Some don't, but some of it's innocently or naively. They're missing the emotional side, the heart side of what they're doing or saying sometimes. And that's where it can come across or feel like cruelty to another. Also, um, Gemini being the twins and duality, and what we said about having more than one life or wishing you did. Uh, you know, in some cases, that's just somebody who, like I said, wishes that they could, I don't know, be a go on a cruise ship and be a singer. And other people, it's like literally a double life because they can't handle the one they're in and they can't figure out how to integrate it. So they will go do something on the side or behind someone's back in order to fulfill that need. There's plenty of that in the world, right? So this is the cruelty card. So again, we watch when there's all of this, especially when it's in the 12th house. It A 12th house Gemini moon could easily pull the wool over your eyes, could easily have a double life. So, but it might also expose some of that too. Our next card is Queen of Pentacles. She's very earthy. She's very grounded. This lady is going to see through any of that crap, and she's also probably going to quietly and graciously say something. This is somebody who won't let themselves be undervalued or pushed around. So, if you find that you are being mistreated, someone speaks badly, somebody's manipulating, somebody's gossiping, somebody's trying to, I don't know, co-opt your work or whatever they're trying to do behind the scenes, Queen of Pentacles is just going to come and sort of like shut it down in a gracious way. She's going to stand up for herself. And I encourage you to do the same if you're in a position like that. And then we've got finally the Page of Pentacles, which is a younger version of the Queen. And this would be somebody more youthful or vulnerable. Not stupid, but just hasn't had enough experience quite yet, like the Queen, to know, how much to give and how much to say and when to pull out and when things are worth the battle and when they're not, like the Queen does. So this sort of suggests in a way that there could be a feeling of an elder and a protege. It could be a mother and son or a parent and child. And again, the cruelty card comes up. So it sort of suggests that there could be a need to protect somebody. Um, that Queen might need to use her clout and her groundedness to protect or speak on behalf of another more vulnerable, more naive person. So that's interesting. Defending the vulnerable. Hmm. Let's take a look for everybody's sign then. I'm gonna ask about, this proverbial last degrees of Pisces and the trine. I'm more interested to help you move forward. So therefore, we need to ask, um, what are you moving forward to? And I just dropped some cards, of course. Where'd they go? When things jump out of the deck, you got to listen. Oh, three of them jumped out. Okay, before we start the signs, and forgive me, I'm, I'm sitting in a weird angle chair and they went underneath, so I'm grunting and groaning. Um, Interesting. So our three cards, another message here. The Magician, Ten of Swords, and the Hierophant. So again, the Magician and the Hierophant, both major arcana, both very strong because they're both in a sense powerful people, powerful conduits of energy. The Magician is, bringing forth his or her own vision into the world, and they know how to manifest this. And the Hierophant is, the divine conduit between human and the gods. And the Ten of Swords is the card of ruin, where things like if you didn't listen at the 9, the 10, well, you're toast, you know? But it's weird juxtaposition here. So the Magician and the Hierophant are so strong as far as building the foundation and the creation of a new world, a new you, a new reality, a new timeline. And the Ten of Swords is, to me, represents sort of the pain of that thing that still must be let go of before you can manifest. And I don't mean manifest like, ooh, with magic and no. I'm talking about like manifesting is also just allowing yourself to be, allowing yourself to move forward, allowing your life to be better, allowing yourself to be uh, paid well, treated well, loved again, whatever it is, allowing yourself to accept the challenge, take the class, get the good grades, let people see you, receive the compliments, the awards, the raise, the new position. That's also manifesting. It's not just out there. It's like allowing things to shift and allowing yourself to receive and let the shifts happen. So the Ten of Swords is like like it's heavy. It feels like a defeat, but it's not. It's really not. But it means that there's some heavy, hard things that people are having difficulty letting go of before we really embrace a newer world and a newer version of ourselves. And I think a lot of people are going through that in different levels and trying to figure out, well, what is that I've got to let go of or walk away from in order to live better? So let's ask that. What is it that you need to let go of in order for your life to get better? All right, Aries, what do you need to let go of? Hangman. Mm-mm, that's a tough one. Yikes. Aries, in what way do you feel like you're waiting? In what way do you feel like you're sacrificing something and waiting for it to be done? Where do you feel like your life is just suspended, dangling, nothing much happening? And you feel stuck. The lesson of the hangman is, can you see in this stuckness, in this stasis, in this, why is everything, why do I have to wait? Why is it taking so long? You know, can you see the lesson? Can you see the benefit of why you'd have to wait? Can you see some of the good in the dangling? Give you an example. So there's somebody in your life who's difficult, but you live next door. You're not moving and they aren't moving. You can't move, they're not moving. Oh, why universe? Why am I next to this neighbor? Why do I have to live through this? Why do I have to deal with this for so long? Right? That can be one. That could be one. So how would you lean into the hangman lesson? Because the hangman's a transformation. It's not being stuck. It just feels like you're stuck. It's it's learning through a sacrifice, a slow sacrifice. So how would that neighbor, you would have to look at, what is it I'm learning about myself or learning to do? What's the universe asking me to become or do or learn because of this situation that I feel stuck in. And that would be the way out. And these are not easy lessons, the hangman. Not easy. So your task for what do I need to let go of is letting go of feeling victimized by something that you feel is moving way too slowly or is stagnant. And get curious. Instead of feeling victimy, get curious. All right, Taurus. What do you need to let go of for things to move forward? Judgment. Uh-huh. And most people would say, oh, you need to let go of judgment. No, I don't know. No, means you need to make one. You need to make a judgment call that maybe you've been avoiding making because probably social repercussions you're worried about. If you come out and say, well, I've decided X, or this is what I believe to be true about that thing or that person or my boss or the place I live in, the town I live in, or whatever it is, insight that you have, and you've been probably holding it inside for a long time, and you need to just let yourself make that decision. The judgment card to me for tarot is more about us making our own firm judgment and calling it a day. Call it. You've done enough labor, you've worked on this enough times, you've revisited and talked to enough people. So at what point do you get off the wheel and say, that's how I call it. That's what it is for me. And that judgment allows you to move forward. And I dropped cards again. So I think this is for Gemini. Gemini, what do you need to let go of in order to move forward? And you've got the Seven of Pentacles, which is a person who's, lovingly looking at their crops and that they've tended, they've worked very hard for. But the Seven of Pentacles is usually like wondering if it's going to be enough, because as we can see in the card, his fruits of his labor are not that big, even though they're well formed. There's abundance growing, but it's not enough yet. And there's a lot of worry in that, worrying about can we take care of ourselves in the future and all that stuff. I would say, letting go of any sense of devaluing yourself and or anything with your sense of self-worth, because as I said, like there is abundance and it is growing in that person's hedge or their fruits. So are you always saying, is it enough? Is it enough? I need more. Is it um and where does that stem from? So no questioning of your inherent value and having a little more faith that your life can build to where it needs to. So to me, the letting go for you of this final degrees of Pisces, um, which is happening basically in your career house. Lessons of self-worth. Are you valuing or overvaluing yourself at work in any way? Has that thrown off your career path in any way? All right, Cancers. What do you need to let go of in order to move into the next timeline? Hmm. And you have the Hierophant here. Wow. Hmm. Well, for those of you that are very religious or grew up with any very strong indoctrinating figures in your life, whether that was a minister, a priest, whether that was your father, whether that was a grandfather, a patriarch, or even a matriarch, um, somebody that said they were the authority and they were the ones that you needed approval from, basically. And now you no longer need that. You don't need anyone's approval. You don't need to please your parents or grandparents anymore when you're an adult. You don't need the church or some other outside person to say, "Oh yeah, that's the right thing," or "Oh, you're a good person." So this feels to me, the Hierophant feels like the thing to let go of is approval seeking, and also some pretty deep programming of what you grew up believing was your right, your birthright, your power, your the value of your own beliefs in your own mind versus what you were told. That's a pretty powerful thing to come up. Yeah. You, in a sense, you don't need a Hierophant. You can connect to your higher self and the divine's energy or God yourself. You don't need to go through another authority. You're your own authority. All right, Leos, where do you need to let go to jump timelines? We've got the Nine of Cups. All right, Leo, the message I'm getting is sort of strong, so bear with me here. If you want to get to the next level, Leo, you're going to have to let go of a certain idea of yourself as being more successful or glamorous or shiny or having a bigger house or a bigger car or more recognition or status. And maybe it's hard to admit that you want that, but part of you wants that. And in order to move forward, you will have to let go of wanting so much of it. Maybe not all, but so much. There's a feeling in that Nine of Cups, even though it's supposed to be a card of prosperity and abundance and everything, but I feel like this guy's sitting here pretty self-satisfied. It's like, look at all my trophies. They're all mine, and I'm surrounded by them, and I'm crossing my arms, and it's all mine, 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 mine. And there's like a self-satisfied, greedy feeling about this guy. So this would be the shadow thing to worry about. This is the lesson. What can you let go of? Are you being a bit greedy for some aspect of your life? Never satisfied unless you have more, 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 bigger, bigger, bigger. And so it's not about giving all of that up completely, but it's readjusting your expectations of yourself and maybe of life itself. It's not even like saying, "Oh, you've got to downsize your dreams." No, but it's that greedy factor. It's that energy of greed. The thing that you want a bit too badly or that has to happen exactly as you want it. It's about letting go and it might happen. You might have the life you wanted in a different form. You might already have it if you just look differently. So it's tempering your expectations. All right, Virgos. What do you need to let go of, Virgo, in order to move timelines to a new life? You get the Eight of Pentacles, the builder, the apprentice. He's working for someone else, that's for sure. And he's very productive and he's very methodical, like you are. But he's working for someone else. Now, he also seems to be, pretty secure and pretty at peace with that. But you'll need to ask yourself that. Are you working for others? Are you comfortable with that? Or would you rather be working for yourself? And if you are you satisfied with the routines and the necessary daily work that you have to do to get your things done? This guy in this card looks pretty content to just keep pounding out these pentacles. But are you? You know, so much of life is routines, isn't it? So many things are repetitive even when you're doing your quote unquote dream job, there's still repetition. There's still things in every aspect of our dreams that can be repetitive or boring at times. And so you have to be good with that, lean into that, and enjoy that. So it would be a matter of you looking at your routines and saying, like, um, what can I accept and what can't I accept? You know? Am I really truly content with my routines? Hmm. All right, Libras, let's look at you. What do you need to let go of, Libra, to live in a different timeline? Queen of Cups. And she's just sort of staring at the cup that has these claws. It's almost like the cup is telling her a big story and it's dramatic, and there's these claws going, ah, drama. Libra, you need to let go of drama. And you're like, but I don't want to. I like drama. You might not even want to admit that you like some of the drama that you're in. Um, yeah, I would say to move forward where you're going next with Pluto and Aquarius, which is making a good aspect to you for a long time. It's going to ask you, you're going to finally, um, when we really feel Pluto and Aquarius kicking in, you're going to finally feel that all of this opposition you've been getting from Capricorn Pluto for like 12 years, you've been used to it. You're sort of used to, oh, well, here we go again, and being maybe cynical or, again, allowing some of the drama to continue because, well, why bother? Because it's not moving forward. But now Pluto and Aquarius is going to move your life forward. There will be things that you just don't have the bandwidth for anymore. People that you don't want to see, things you can't accommodate. You might not be saying no, and yeah, it's sort of like it feels to me like your social life will bring you new people and new groups to belong to, new interests to try, new people, new connecting on a nicer, happier, more inspired level than where you've been. And so you will be letting some connections and people sort of go or slide. And the first people would be the ones that chronically bring the drama. Ask yourself who drains you, who's not growing or changing, and start to slowly wean. Yeah. You've had some heavy people clinging to you. All right, Scorpio, what do you need to let go of to advance on the timeline? Devil inside, devil inside. Yeah. Oh boy, another deep message to come. Well, you need to let go of control, a desire or ability to manipulate or control. And, you know, this is the shadow self of anybody, but, Scorpios, you do it well because you can see through people so easily, and you're so often disappointed in people that it's easy to be in a cynical place where you just sort of control and pull the strings. But if you keep allowing yourself to do that, you basically deepen your own cynicism, don't you? The more you're in a say you're in a relationship where it's like, oh well, I'll never be understood, but here I am anyway. I'll just smile and ask this and ask that, and subtly control the conversation threads and make your inward judgments and whatever it is because you see through this person. But why? Why be around that? What's the gain? Um, so if there's a side of you, and again, like we're confronting the shadow self is basically the message for you for Scorpio. Confront the shadow self, the sides of you that are cynical and because basically there's a lot of pain under that. There's a lot of pain, and you need to move towards the people that authentically do match you so that you can be vulnerable and open and close versus cynical and guarded and pulling strings. Those are extremes, but those would be the extremes to take a look at. And it might only be happening with work, it might happen with one particular person in your life, and it doesn't have to be across the board that this is going on, but there's some places where your shadow self is out in relating, and it's not good for you or the relationship. All right, Sagittarius, happy birthday to my Saggies. What do you need to let go of to jump the timeline? Deep messages tonight, but it makes sense because we're at the end of a chapter. Three of Swords. What do you need to let go of? Well, that's a card of grief. It's a card of grief and loss. So simply said, you have to stop running away from grieving something or someone. Sag is very, you're outgoing and you're rah-rah and you're let's go do, and you're all fire and impulse and adventure and taking risks and telling it like it is. But it's very strong to be like that. So where do you ever get a chance to sit and be soft and receive and feel the sadness of things that haven't worked out, even if you've been positive and moved on to the next thing or said, oh well, just pick our socks up and try something else. Yes, but doesn't mean that there isn't grief in what didn't work out, unless there's specific people you've actually lost with the grief card. That that would be the biggest thing you can do to help things move forward is allow yourself to grieve. Pretty cut and dry, but heavy message. But you can handle it, right, Sag? Capricorn, what do you need to let go of to help jump timeline? Five of Wands. As you can see, there's too many people battling, too many cooks in the kitchen. Um, what you need to let go of in order for things to go better is a sense of hierarchy and whatever competition and arguing and one-upping and sort of, forgive my words, pissing contest you get involved in to show that you're dominant or you're the boss or you're in control or um, if you're not doing that, then there's people around you doing that. But I imagine if you're honest, you're doing that a little bit. And yeah, it's confronting thing to say. It's a shadow side as well that you're being asked to let go of. I think a lot of these messages tonight are really shadow sides. Um, so yours would be to ask yourself, do I have to be in charge or be recognized for everything or everywhere I go, every time I make an effort? Can I just let somebody else have it? Can I just whatever, okay, maybe you're more competent, but somebody else is wanting their turn and okay, just let them go for it. Because there's the Five of Wands means there's been all this fighting and struggling and vying and lobbying, and it's exhausting. Can happen in a family too. Maybe you know, if you're a parent and you want to show like, well, I'm the parent and you're the kid and you just can't let that go and you keep finding ways, subtle ways to show your kid you're the boss and they're just not accepting it because they're a different generation. They do not think that way. That would be one example. Let that go. It's not the old school way of being recognized and obeyed and all that stuff. You know, if it's work, if you're the boss or a supervisor, these are your teams, and you're trying to prove something that you insist on being seen a certain way or recognized or acknowledged a certain way. I'm not saying that you're wrong about wanting it, but if you want your life to feel lighter and move forward, for now, you need to let go of this. And it's sort of like the right people will see who you are, and the ones that can't, stop fighting for it. It's letting go of the battles. All right, Aquarius, what would help you if you let go and jump timeline? What do you need to do? And you've got the Nine of Wands. And as you can see, there's a perimeter and there's, you know, like a perimeter of fence. He's guarding. Looks like he's ready to fight or shoot. Looks a bit paranoid. You know, the Nine of Wands is supposed to be, you know, sort of like a strength position where you've reached a certain level and you're hanging on and you've planted your flag and now you're guarding your terrain, what you've gained. But that's also a very uncomfortable thing to have to do. It takes a lot of effort to guard and be hyper vigilant over everything. So the feeling I get for you is you need to let go of a certain amount of worry or perhaps even leaning into the paranoid side of like vigilance and monitoring. Um, there's a side of you that really needs to trust yourself and life and other people a little bit more and not um, be sort of expecting the worst and waiting and watching for people to screw up or prove you right, you know. Um, yeah, it's there's more relaxed ways to maintain what you've built than to be like, what was that? What was that? Did they say this? Did they? It's not like it's about, you know, protecting how far you've come, but in a confident, relaxed way, so that if people do kind of come and want to take or intrude or whatever, you're not like a guard at the door going, what's the password? You know, you're instead, you're like, come on in, see what I've done. You could do it too. And then you become a leader instead of a defender. Ooh, there's the message that just shot through me. You need to become the leader, not the defender. Ooh, I like that. All right, Pisces, what change do you need to make in order to move forward on the timeline, your timeline? The Empress. Well, if you've been hiding your femininity, don't. If you've been hiding your gracefulness, your generosity, your creativity, your lovingness, don't hide it. Don't keep it small because somebody might be triggered by it or try to use you or whatever you're worried about if you show it. Yeah. And that includes men showing your feminine energies. Let yourself show your, even like show us what a great cook you are. Show us that you are a sensual being, you know, allow people to see your talents and your fluidity and your gentle, caring, but also creative side. If you paint, then don't hide that you're a painter. If you want to dance while you make Christmas dinner and you're a good dancer, well, so be it. So what? Let people see that side of you. You're gonna feel like you're just, you know, on a cloud if you allow that your natural flow to come through you. And I think you will because we're almost finished with all of this heaviness in Pisces. And you've been tested for a very long time now. And whatever you have learned about yourself or claimed as yours or who you are, it's just right now, it's just the beautiful, like, untie your untie the corset, let yourself breathe, let it show. Let us see you. Um, because it's going to be very freeing, very liberating for you soon. So that's lovely for you, Pisces. It's been a long haul. So I wish you all the best this full moon. And as I said, I'm here for sessions over the holidays. And if you want to give sessions as gifts, then just contact me and I can make you gift certificates. So that's it, over and out. I will see you right before the holidays around the solstice for the new moon.